Welcome back to the Talk Yours podcast. Today we are only 3 days away from the NBA trade deadline, so there's lots to talk about today. All-star selections just happened, and me and Corby definitely have some very strong opinions on the Snubs, especially one to-be-named three-letter acronym guy that plays in New York. Otherwise, we're also going to be talking about some trade deadline stuff, biggest buyers and biggest sellers for our opinion, so who we think should buy and who we think should sell at the trade deadline. And then each of us has got something we need to get off our chests this week, as we do every week. We're going to kind of let each other riff once every segment. So, yeah, pretty excited to get started today. Corby, you got anything to add before we get going?
No, let's just get right into it.
Cool. Let's get right into it. So, all-star selections came out. Some notable names that did make it were like a Norman Powell, a Jalen Duren, and obviously a LeBron James, guys that people might say statistically didn't deserve it over guys. But let's be honest, LeBron James was always making the all-star game. This was never going to be an argument at all.
I think he deserved it. I think at the time of us making the video, I don't think too many people saw it. I don't even remember if did we clip it out? I don't know. But we did both not have LeBron as an all-star, but since then he has been playing amazing. The defense has not been great at all. A lot of Lakers fans have been complaining about it.
The all-star game's never been about defense anyway. Look, it's all about the stats, and LeBron James at 41 years old is putting up 23, 7, and 7, basically, on above 52% shooting from the floor, if my memory serves me well. Those are really good numbers. Those are really good numbers, and those are all-star numbers.
So yeah, in this segment, we are going to be grading all of the all-stars and all-star snubs, giving our opinions on who really deserved it, who didn't. And the very first, we'll just go ahead and say all the all-star starters deserved it. I don't think we have to kind of go into that. They're all A+s. They're all obvious. And then we get to the Eastern Conference reserves. We can do that, and then we can go into the snubs, and then we'll do the Western Conference. Same thing.
I like that.
First, all-star. I mean, I guess it's not necessarily in order of voting. I don't know how the NBA. I'm on NBA.com for mine.
I'm also on NBA.com. So
the first one, Scotty Barnes. That's a solid B+ all-star. I think he easily deserved it. I think the Raptors have been amazing. I think right now it's either 9 or 11 games above 500, and he's kind of been the hub of that. I mean, they've had a different hub as well, who we will talk about later in the snubbed, but Scotty Barnes does everything on the court. He scores, he rebounds, he gets assists, he gets steals, he gets blocks. He's like a star version. I'm not gonna say star, but he's an all-star version of Draymond Green.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that entirely. He does pretty much anything you could ask of him on offense and defense, especially this year. He's not a guy that's going to go get you 30 a night, but he is a guy that's going to consistently get you 20, and he's going to be one of the best rebounders on your team and the best rebounder at his position on the floor. He's also going to be the best playmaker at his position on the floor and probably the best defender. So at the end of the day, his impact translates beyond the numbers, and I think he really deserved this all-star selection. Next guy up, Jalen Duren. This is a guy that people look at his stats, especially after the first 20 games, and say, this is a guy that is only averaging 18 and 11 a game, but he's on the best team in the Eastern Conference. He's on the second best team in the league. And once again, like Scotty Barnes, his impact goes beyond what is shown on the stat sheet. He's a really good rim protector. He's a really good rebounder, and he fits really well next to Cade Cunningham.
And with all that being said, I'm giving him like a C. He's a good all-star, don't get me wrong, and he has turned up in the last couple of weeks. I'm looking, he did put up 19 and 10 in the last 15 days, but there was a good, 2 months where he was just all right. And there's definitely guys, I don't think he deserved it. I think I had him maybe as a reserve. I don't remember where I had him last time we talked about it, but I do think there's just other guys who have more offensive responsibility, even sometimes defensive responsibility, and I understand that they are the best team in the East, but and Duren's been very good, don't get me wrong, and he's a reason that they're the best team in the East, and by a mile. But there's guys who just deserve it more.
Yep. Jalen Johnson, next guy up, that's an easy A for me. He's averaging 23, 8, and 11. There really shouldn't be much of a debate about that. He's the best player on the Hawks by far. I'm really glad he's become the best player on the Hawks. That was a prediction I had before the season, and yeah, that gets an A for me.
Yeah, and you were right about that. I was wrong. Jalen Johnson, easy A. He's been playing amazing.
Mm-hmm. Next up, Donovan Mitchell, another easy A. Debatably a starter, and definitely deserved to be an all-star reserve.
Yeah, I agree. No, it's Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, now we have something to talk about a little bit more, and that's Norman Powell. Now, Norman Powell has had an amazing season scoring the ball, and he has also been a pretty decent defender for the Miami Heat as well. And for most of the season with Tyler Hero out, he has been their main offensive hub, especially since Bam Adebayo has not played up to any sort of all-star level this year. So did Norman Powell deserve it? these are numbers that could be given to an all-star. I just think there's a guy that deserved it way more out of the East on a team that's not that much worse than the Heat. So I give this a C minus.
23 points per game, less than 3 assists, less than 4 rebounds. If you're going to give it to someone like that, there's multiple options, honestly, that didn't make the All-Star game. Norman Powell hasn't even been playing much basketball recently, which I guess you shouldn't take into too much account. I did have it as an all-star or maybe like an injury backup last time, but he did not deserve it. I'm giving it a D plus. At least Duran, you can say it's the winning thing. I don't know what you can really argue with Norman Powell.
No. Next up, Pascal Siakam. This is a bit of a tricky one because the Pacers have been so bad this year, but Pascal still averaging 24, 4, and 7 a game, still pretty much their only viable offensive option in their starting lineup. I know Benedict Mathurin can score the ball, but usually he's either coming off the bench or he's in the starting lineup, but all he's doing is scoring the ball. So Pascal Siakam defends, he playmakes, he scores, does a lot of things for that team, and numbers-wise, yeah, he deserved to be an all-star this year. I'd give this a solid B. This is a guy that I think deserves to be an all-star most years based on his numbers, even with as bad as his team has been. And the thing that knocks him really is the team's success.
I'll give him a B too. If you're playing like an all-star, you deserve to be an all-star no matter how bad the rest of your team is. So yeah.
And then this one, we might disagree on this last one. Karl Anthony Towns. Now, at one point this year, I would have had him as a shoo-in for the All-Star game, but he has been bad as of late. His averages have dropped to below 20 points per game. He only averages 2.9 assists, 12 rebounds. That is pretty good, but for a guy that isn't an elite rim protector, he's basically averaging the same numbers as Jalen Duren. And I genuinely, looking at this, Karl Anthony Towns is a guy that should be a perennial all-star. I mean, he is the best stretch big in the NBA. He might be the best stretch big in NBA history. He is an offensive powerhouse. He is legitimately unstoppable at times when he is on. But this year, he has not looked like his usual self. He's been out of his rhythm, and that doesn't mean that he's not going to be his usual self by the time the playoffs roll around. Let me make that be very clear. But right now, with his averages and with the way he looks, I think... I don't think he truly deserved to be an all-star this year. I'm going to give this a D.
I'll give it a D plus. He definitely didn't deserve it. I just don't understand. Let's just get into the snubs. Okay. Yep. We can talk about, well, there's a guy we both like that we can talk about, but while we're on Karl Anthony Towns, I don't understand the argument of him versus Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid, while yes, was playing super fragile, he was barely moving in those first 15 games. Ever since then, as of recently, I saw a conspiracy, and I'm not going to believe every conspiracy I see for sure, but a conspiracy that they swapped the tests of Paul George and Joel Embiid because Joel Embiid has been the one playing like he's on the steroids or on the drugs. And I see that. He's moving a lot better now. He's doing everything. He's had multiple 35, 40-point games, I think, in the last couple of weeks. Joel Embiid's been amazing. And besides wins, I don't see the argument of Embiid not making it over Karl Anthony Towns outside of the fact, and we can talk about this maybe a little bit, of this whole team world versus team USA thing and how they kind of have to have less USA guys and they have to add in Karl Anthony Towns, who I think he's Dominican.
Karl Anthony Towns.
Or are they saying he's American?
No, I do feel like he's... is he Bohemian? No. He might be I think he might be.
I'm pretty sure he's Dominican.
No, Dominican.
But yeah, I don't see the argument. I don't think you can make one outside the fact. If you want to say that Embiid has not been a good rebounder this season because he's only averaging 8 rebounds per game, that's fair. But Towns has not been amazing either. Rebounding has been the only thing.
He does have, so to answer, he does have dual citizenship in both the United States and the Dominican Republic.
So maybe they picked him because he could choose either one, and it's more versatile, and they can pick their little rosters. And
possible, but that's why the format is so stupid to begin with, because why would you make it so that people that are deservedly all-stars aren't all-stars based on arbitrary measures where it comes down to dual nationality, of all things. So
I'd personally give Joel Embiid, if he was an all-star, he'd be like a C+ kind of all-star. It's like a D season for Joel Embiid, but it's still Joel Embiid. He's still one of the most talented guys in the league, and he's still dominating.
He's averaging what, 26, 7 and 5 this year, or 7-4 on 49% shooting from the floor. In his last, just in the months of basically, well, let me include this last game in December. In the months of December and January, he's averaging 28 points per game, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, a block, half a steal on 50% shooting from the floor, 30% from three, 86% from the line. Those are all-star numbers.
He's probably getting to that line a lot.
Oh, he's getting to that line 9.4 times a game. But these are still all-star numbers, 28 points a game, and he's averaging 26 on the season. It's not like this is some sort of anomaly. So, yeah, I really don't understand this, and unless the argument really is just games played, because, I mean, Giannis didn't make the all-star, or no, he did. He was a starter. Yeah. So I don't know why I thought he didn't make the all-star game. I'm stupid. I sometimes, yeah, I just forget.
Yeah, no, that's pretty stupid. The other obvious snub that we're going to talk about, because we believed fully that he was an all-star, is Michael Porter Jr. And I would go as far to say as, if you're going to, like, you can't use the games won against MPJ because you had Siakam. I do believe MPJ was more of an all-star than Siakam was.
And let's just, any argument you want to use, if you're going to include Norman Powell on your all-star team, then you have to include MPJ. MPJ is just a better version of what Norman Powell's been doing this year. You can make the argument, if Norman Powell was left off, that you just can't have these high-volume scorers on losing teams on the all-star team. That's fine. That's your criteria. But the criteria has shown that if you're a scorer on a semi-decent team in the East, you get to be an all-star. And MPJ's doing that at a much more efficient rate than Norman Powell is even.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to me.
So that, and then I think it was Underdog had a notable all-star snub being Bam Adebayo. I'm cool.
I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm cool.
And MPJ, by the way, would have had like a B+, maybe B type of all-star season, though, if he were to make it, because he's been that good. 26 points per game, elite efficiency. He's been the only guy on the Nets. Like, like one of the highest volume guys on the Nets is Noah Clowney. And I thought he was playing amazing because he was shooting so much and all. He's shooting 38% from the field.
Yeah, the Nets don't exactly have a ton of offense, and MPJ's still having the season he's having, which is why I don't understand why more teams aren't trying to scramble to trade for him right now. Maybe they are. Maybe we're just not hearing about it because of all the Giannis trade buzz. But yeah, a couple other notable snubs from the East. Brandon Ingram.
Ingram also. Yeah.
Ingram, I would say, deserved it over Karl Anthony Towns. I'm not terribly mad at him being left off simply because counting stats wise, he's not this incredible guy. And the Raptors did get Scotty Barnes. If they didn't get either of them, then that would be a problem. But the Raptors have an all-star.
I don't like that. I don't like that whole one team. Like, we're counting how many all-stars each team has.
I'm not trying to. I mean, I would like to go off of player, just credentials. But at the end of the day, Scotty Barnes came out and said Brandon Ingram deserved to be an all-star. He did deserve to be an all-star. The team's at least riding for him. I think people agree that Brandon Ingram has had an all-star level season this year. Hopefully we can just remember that and not just go off of all-star selections in the future. But yeah, I would say Brandon Ingram deserved it over Karl Anthony Towns. And then Josh Giddey was another guy that had gotten some talk for All-Star. I'm okay with him being left off. Although his numbers this year have been really impressive. I will say almost averaging a triple-double deserves some credit for sure, and it has lost some of its sauce in recent years. Yeah. But
so then now we move on to the Western Conference. Obviously, every starter deserved it. Mm-hmm. And then first, I don't know why he's first on the NBA.com. Denny Avdia. I think he's probably a B type of all-star. Obviously, had an all-star season, 26 points per game, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, doing everything. He also plays good defense. I mean, that's what he was known for on the Wizards. Yeah, obviously an all-star. If you don't think he's an all-star, in my opinion, you're just doing your little political thing. Like that's really to me, because like if you just look at the counting stats, I've seen people say on Twitter that Denny Avdia is the worst all-star of all time. Mm-hmm. Really? That's the stupid. He doubles Kyle Korver's stats in 2015 in every single category. I swear he probably doubles.
He probably does, actually.
It's definitely points.
Speaking of getting all-stars based on team success and going off that. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was another one.
Yeah. Denny Avdia deserved it for sure. The only controversy that I have about Denny Avdia, I see all the jokes about
the free throws.
It was not the free throws, but the whole all-star was promised him 3,000 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
You guys, you're not being creative enough. Have you seen the clip of this dude picking his favorite foods? This dude loves onions more than anyone I've ever seen. He picked onions over like sausage, bell peppers, pepperoni, he loves onions. Onions are like his favorite thing ever. I can't believe I've never seen anyone talk about how much this dude loves onions before. I saw the clip just today because the NBA posted a clip of him talking about that because it's his first All-Star thing. So
That's so nasty.
Be more creative, guys. Come on, like show up to a game with a poster of Denny Avdia eating onion. I know you guys are good enough with Photoshop to do that. I know you can do it. So,
Onion boy.
yeah, call him Onion Boy.
All right, but yeah, he deserved to be an All-Star. Devin Booker. You know what? Let's skip Devin Booker for a second. Kevin Durant.
Yeah, Kevin Durant.
A whatever. All-Star.
I'll give it an A. He's had an incredible season. 40,
I'm not gonna say his peak, but he's still in his prime.
He's basically averaging 50, 40, 90. I know I said that a lot when we did the All-Star predictions before, but he is actually averaging 50, 40, 90.
Anthony Edwards, A+. He could have been an All-Star starter.
Should have been an All-Star starter.
Chet Holmgren. I personally think he deserved to be an All-Star. I saw a lot of people saying that he didn't, and they compared him and another guy who I'll talk about later and his counting stats, but Chet's more than the counting stats. Like I'm someone, like I said, I don't want to just give people All-Stars because they're on these winning teams, or I'd say, if you're the number 1 seed, you have to have 2 All-Stars, but a 4 seed needs 1, and no. But Chet's impact is there. He is a top 2-3 defender in the NBA, and he's been elite efficiency-wise, scoring. His rebounding's been there with, Hartenstein being out for so long. Chet's an All-Star.
Yeah, he's taken over the role of second option on that team from Jalen Williams, who we've never talked about on this podcast. And he really has shown that on both ends of the court, he can be a high-level contributor, both defensively and offensively. And I've never been the biggest Chet fan, but I do really like the way he's been playing this year. He's stepped up big time in big-time moments, and he deserves his flowers for it. I give this a B-. Now, LeBron James. Yeah, this is a B for me. He deserves the All-Star selection. Is this the greatest LeBron James year we've ever seen? No, it's arguably his worst year since his rookie year. But it's still LeBron James. He's still having a great season. He's still better than 85% of the NBA. I think he definitely deserves it. That feels like a low percent. 90%. I don't know what top 24 is in like the NBA.
I'm going to say it, but also it is kind of like a B, maybe even C+ kind of. It's 22, 7, or 6 and 7. That's cool. Is that like some guaranteed All-Star? No, not at all. But it is LeBron James. Let's not even act like he was always going to make it no matter what.
He was always going to make it, but
he might have been the first guy to be off the starting. For all we know.
Real talk, we'll get to one of the snubs in a minute, but one guy on his team definitely deserved it over him. I think they both could have made it, probably. But
yeah.
And next guy, second to last guy, Jamal Murray. That's an A for me. Jamal Murray has been absolutely incredible this season. I think he deserved to be an All-Star by far. Honestly, probably deserved to be one of the first guys out from the starters and in the reserves, along with Anthony Edwards. So I think
so too. Yeah, him and KD. Yeah, I'll give it an A-. Jamal Murray, really good, and finally got it. Good for him, because he has been an All-Star type of player for so long. I'm not saying he deserved it in previous years, but like he's been borderlining that. I mean, he broke that CJ McCollum. I mean, I think he's always been better than CJ McCollum, but CJ is also another guy who has never been an All-Star, but it's always been kind of there with the 20 points.
I mean, it's the Mike Conley, CJ McCollum, like that group of guys. Well, you're really good, but you've never made an All-Star team. And I feel like Jamal Murray has gained more respect than those guys through his playoff performances, but I'm glad that gets to be represented now.
And he actually took the jump. Yeah, it wasn't like it was given to him.
He took the jump. So,
shout out Jamal Murray. And then the last guy who I wanted to wait till last, Devin Booker. 25 points per game. 6 assists, 4 rebounds. It's a good season, but there's just a couple guys on this bench that I would have given it to over him. I do think, and I'm actually going to talk about this later. It's one of my topics, but the Phoenix Suns' success is not solely because of Devin Booker. I'd even say Devin Booker's kind of having a down year in general. Now, he does have a lot more responsibility, and he's doing better playmaking-wise, but I don't think he's an All-Star. In fact, if you want to talk about him, then we can talk about
I could talk about him a little bit, but he is definitely having a down year. He's having one of his, basically in this tenure of his prime, his worst shooting season, and he's still averaging 25. He's still doing Devin Booker things. His assists are a little bit down. His shooting percentages are a little bit down. And like you said, I feel like other guys have been contributing to winning a lot on his team. I mean, Dylan Brooks has, we always knew he could be a really valuable contributor for a winning team. Offensively, though, he's definitely taken a jump. Right. Even
we're going to talk about the Suns later, so
we can talk about the Suns later. But I do want to say, like, yeah, he's had help. He's had help for sure. And then let's get to some of the snubs. Number 1, Kawhi Leonard. How is Kawhi Leonard not an All-Star?
I don't know. Here's the thing: you could make with MPJ in the East and Embiid in the East, you could make clear arguments to why they are not All-Stars, even if you believe they're All-Stars. I don't know the argument of Kawhi Leonard not being an All-Star. He's been playing like a top 6 player in the NBA. I'm not even kidding. Like if he especially in the last like 2-3 months, if you take in the last 2-3 months, he probably should have been a starter in the All-Star game. He's been that good. And I'm not going to take winning into consideration, but the Clippers have been winning, at least as of recently. You'd think that matters a little more than the beginning of the season. Obviously, you have to take the whole thing into account.
I mean, but
he's averaging. What are his averages?
Kawhi Leonard this season, let's not even look at the last few months, but just this season, 27.6 points per game, 6 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 2 steals, 0.6 blocks, 49.5% from the field, 39.1 from 3, 92.1 from the line. This dude heard every criticism being levied against him, saying, oh, we had a couple good years of Kawhi, and that's it. Oh, imagine if Kawhi stayed healthy. Oh, imagine if we got peak Kawhi. And he just turned back into peak Kawhi. This is Spurs Kawhi. This is the stuff we were seeing out of him. And I mean, he's playing incredible. I don't even understand how he doesn't get an all-star selection this year. I mean, like you said, there's an argument to be made for him being a starter, let alone being on the reserves. And it seems to be, I mean, I don't want to say everything's politics, but it does seem to be kind of political to me. Because
of the whole
Clippers. I think this is the NBA's way of showing him you're not.
Because there was another, I also think it's just the Clippers situation in general, not just with Kawhi, because there was another guy, I think James Harden probably deserved it over a Devin Booker, or, I mean, LeBron's always going to make it, but or a LeBron, or a, who else was it? I mean, even like a Chet. I don't know. I feel like James Harden and Kawhi have been just the sole reasons that the Clippers are alive, and at least one of them deserved to be an all-star. Not because, oh, they're this seed, they have to have an all-star, but because those two have been carrying the load so heavily.
I mean,
and been playing great.
Let's look at, since the Clippers went on this, they started this win streak. So back on, what was this? December 20th, when they started this streak of starting to win games again, Kawhi Leonard's been averaging 30 on 50, 42, 89. 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. Yeah. There's not a ton else to say. This may go down as one of the worst all-star snubs in NBA history.
I think it will. I don't know.
I genuinely believe that.
Worse right now. The only thing I could think of in modern history is Bradley Beal was averaging 30 points per game at the time, and he wasn't an all-star. This is worse than
that. The crazy thing is Kawhi plays defense too. I think he's borderline leading the league in steals, as well as doing all the things he's doing offensively.
Yeah, so it is absolutely disgraceful. Another snub I had was Sengun. I don't think he deserved it. So I had him as like a snub, but like I don't think he should have made it. And I saw a lot of people arguing, like, how does Chet make it over him? If you compare the two stats, Chet's the better player. I'm a guy who, like, I don't know if you remember this or if any viewer remembers this, but going into the season, I was so high on Sengun. What I saw from that playoff series, from the whole regular season in general, I thought he was going to make the All-NBA jump, and he has not been good. Shooting 68% from the free throw line, 50% from the field, 30% from 3. He has not been efficient. He's been, I feel like, turning the ball over. I don't know the stats. Actually, I have it pulled up. He's 3.3 turnovers is by far the highest in his career, because the last 4 seasons have all been 2.6 exactly. Just overall, if you just watch it, like, I feel like if Sengun was the better player and was taking over in clutch games, like he's been given the opportunity to do, especially in the early in the season.
Yeah, Kevin
Durant's been carrying that team.
They really did try to push the focal point of like him being that guy. They wanted him to be up next.
Yeah, but scoring wise, he is not that guy. I know he's averaging 21.
Alperen Şengün falls into the category that unfortunately a lot of the guys, if the West continues to stay the way it does, are going to fall into, which is deserves to be an all-star, but not this year. There are so many good players in the West. There are just so many good individual players in the West. Team play has started to even out, but when you talk about individual stat production and how good these players are individually, there are just way too many guys in the West that put up phenomenal stats for everyone who deserves to be an all-star to be an all-star. And when I look at Sengun, I would say, I'm not going to go out and say Chet Holmgren's the better player. I think they're actually pretty similar. I think they fill different roles. I think Sengun's a better playmaker and a better scorer, and I think Chet is a better defender, which both have really good value in terms of the things they bring on the court. And then rebounding, they're about equal. Efficiency, Chet's better. But yeah, the problem for Sengun really is that there's too many mouths to feed on the Rockets. It's the same problem for Amen Thompson and why his stats aren't going to skyrocket right now, because you have Kevin Durant, who's your 1A, and then you have a good amount of 1B guys like scoring wise. There's a
Yeah.
lot of mouths to feed, and that means good team success. But overall, that you're just not going to get the statistical production that you need to be an all-star in the West.
I'm not going to blame it on all that. I think Sengun could easily. He's had the opportunity to be better and put up better stats.
He's still shooting 50% from the field.
He's a big man. He doesn't take threes very often, and when he gets to the line, I guess, but he's not even efficient at the line.
That is true.
This is a worse season than last year. I know, like, the points per game have technically gone up.
I mean, is it? Because he shot worse from the field and from three last year. So technically, his efficiency's gotten better this year. And he's averaging slightly fewer rebounds.
I think it's an eye test thing.
One and a half more.
Because honestly, look at these stats. The stats have gotten better, and he was an all-star last year.
I don't want to get too distracted, though, but would you say it's an eye test thing, or would you say your expectations just got higher?
Probably both. I'd say both. Because I still do think eye test-wise, like, I see him, but maybe I thought he'd take another jump.
I think the biggest thing that goes against Sengun is that he's not a true center. Steven Adams being on that team is really important, which is why it really sucks for the Rockets and for NBA fans in general that Steven Adams is out for the year. Rest up, big man. But yeah, Alperen Sengun is not a guy who is best played at center. He is a true power forward, which is really cool to see in the modern NBA. But what it means is that defensively, he's not going to show the same things that Chet does. Chet has the length and the height in order to play defense. And while Sengun is athletic, he just doesn't fit that center role as well as Chet does. So being placed into that role by the Rockets doesn't put him in the best position to succeed.
I will say, people called them stupid, by the way, for signing Clint Capella. He's getting run now.
It might help. It might. Now, is Clint Capella the guy you want to rely on in a playoff series? No, I think they need to go look at getting another center. But
you don't even want to rely on Steven Adams in the playoffs, in my opinion. But I don't know. That's we can talk about it at a different time.
And
any other guys?
Austin Reeves.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand how Austin Reeves didn't make the All-Star game. Now, I get LeBron James was always going to make it, but Austin Reeves was absolutely incredible to start the season. I mean, this is like, what if Jamal Murray had his not an All-Star thing, but played the way he did this year in previous years? That's Austin Reeves this year. Now, I get he's been injured. I get that, but Giannis made the All-Star team, and that's, at the end of the day, if you're going to have a guy like Giannis make the All-Star team, then Austin Reeves can still make the All-Star team based on the games played criteria. So I don't understand statistically.
What do you think the game difference is between Giannis and Reeves?
I think Reeves might have played more games.
You're way off.
Am I?
Giannis has played 30 games this season. Reeves has played 23.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I don't think Reeves is... I mean, that's less than half.
Okay,
that
then
less than half.
Then my perception was off on that. Still, though, I mean, he's had a great season.
I don't know. Because then, we don't know who's going to be hurt in the next 2 weeks. So we're already giving it to a guy who probably won't be playing in the All-Star game. And are we going to have 3 or 4 different injury replacements? That's kind of lame.
Yeah.
Then anyone's an All-Star.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
I agree. I think Reeves played like an All-Star, but I wouldn't have had him making it. But yeah.
That's fair.
So that is our reactions for the All-Star stuff. Now we can move on to the trade deadline. The trade deadline, as of this recording, is in 4 days. No, 3 days.
Thursday. We're recording on Monday.
So it's in 3 days. And only one trade has happened. It was DeAndre Hunter, Dennis Schroeder swap.
No. One more trade. Vic Krejci. Hawks legend.
Hawks legend Vic Krejci. I totally forgot. We traded Vic Krejci for Duop Reith.
Duop Reith. Yeah.
Is that his name? Okay. And then 2 second-round picks. I don't even want to talk about either. I mean, I'm just going to say it's kind of sad that Hunter also... Well, Schroeder's not a really good player. Schroeder's a good player. I think he'll be good for the Cavs because a lot of the Cavs guards have been disappointing, like Alonzo, like Craig Porter Jr. even thought could take a jump. So even Garland has been a little disappointing. Well, he's barely played this season though. But yeah, so really no trades have happened. So we are going to give our biggest buyer and seller of the trade deadline. And hopefully these teams buy and sell a lot. I really hope that the trade deadline is busy. I know the big thing will be Giannis, but I really hope there are a couple minor borderline all-stars. I kind of hope that MPJ gets moved, even though I think the sources are saying the Nets are not thinking about trading MPJ, which is fair. He's kind of amazing.
Yeah, I don't dislike
and
that.
They're still losing. They're still losing with him. So imagine him with another guy, and then they can sign someone in free agency because they have so much money coming in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's start with you, Cam. Who is the biggest buyer?
My biggest buyer at the trade deadline is the Toronto Raptors. Now, the Toronto Raptors have been really good this year with that core of Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickley, Brandon Ingram. RJ Barrett has hardly played, but you'd imagine that he'd be a positive on the court. Their team play has been good. They've had guys contributing like Jamal Shed, Colin Murray Boyles. They have a really good team. they do lack a superstar. Really good teams, maybe they do make it to the NBA Finals. Maybe they do win the NBA Finals. I don't know. The Pacers really changed a lot of people's perspective on that last year. But Tyrese Halliburton, he's that guy. I'm sorry. He is that guy. And maybe Scotty Barnes can be that guy. Maybe Brandon Ingram can be that guy. But the Raptors do have a lot of assets that just aren't providing them with as much as assets they could trade for would be. Like RJ Barrett hasn't played most of this season. Now, is RJ Barrett a really good player? Yeah. Could you get someone for an RJ Barrett who fits the role of your team a little bit better? I think so as well. I think the Raptors fall beneath the category of true contender in the East right now, especially with the way Cleveland has been playing as of late. They're starting to ramp up. The Pistons have been good all year. The Knicks have been good all year. The Celtics have been good all year, and they potentially get Jason Tatum back in the playoffs.
So you're saying the Raptors are not a true contender right now?
I think the Raptors fall into the category of a team that is going to be a hard out in the playoffs, but not a team that I see as being one of the top teams in the East competing for an NBA championship. And I think they can be very easily with a couple of moves.
Okay. And what are those couple moves?
Well,
what's an idea?
Obviously, Giannis Antetokounmpo has said the Toronto Raptors are one of his preferred trade destinations. If you have the opportunity to get Giannis and put him on that Raptors team, that is beautiful. Do it immediately, right? Give up RJ Barrett, give up whatever picks, make the trade for Giannis immediately, right? Another guy that would really benefit this team, and it would be a tough fit next to Brandon Ingram potentially, but Michael Porter Jr. adds an element of shooting and shot making to that team that they just don't have from a lot of positions. Brandon Ingram is their only true shot creator on offense a lot of the time. Scotty Barnes doesn't need the ball in his hands to be truly elite. He is, like we said, a version of Draymond Green that is offensively better right now. And I think MPJ is a guy that could serve to benefit them a lot. And I don't know. I'm kind of just looking through these teams and thinking about who they could make a trade for. Jared McCain is a guy whose trade value has declined. Now that's a low risk, high reward move where, yeah, he might just be bad, but if he comes back to his, last year self and style of play with a change of scenery where he gets more opportunity, that's an offensive kick off the bench that you've been sorely
missing. You
missing.
wouldn't want someone a bit more proven?
You could want some. I'm just saying, like, these are moves you could make. Do you have a move in mind for the Toronto Raptors? Like, out of curiosity,
I do have them as one of my biggest buyers for sure. I do think the East, there's a lot of really good teams, but it is kind of wide open right now because the Pistons are so they don't have much playoff experience.
Right, they're
and
unproven.
the other teams, yeah. So if I were the Raptors, honestly, I think I'd try and get more proven bench players. I do like the idea of trading RJ for someone who fits more. I'd probably pick though another defender. I like the idea of MPJ. Obviously Giannis, right? I like the idea of MPJ, but it is like Ingram at the 2, Scotty Barnes at the 3 or 4, MPJ at the 3 or 4.
It's a big lineup, and you don't. I mean, you remember when the Raptors tried to run that like massive lineup a couple years ago? Yeah. That was just like pretty much all guys 6'6" or taller.
So that's their thing now, which is cool. I think there's probably a couple guys they could get like a scoring punch. Do they? Yeah, they don't have a scoring punch off the bench right now.
They really don't.
It's like Grady Dick. So I would probably try and buy in on Malik Monk.
That was actually, I was going to say, so we can get to the Kings later because I will be talking about them, but I think call up the Kings. They've got a lot to offer in terms of offensive firepower. I mean, Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, these are all guys that are offensive guys.
You can get a Chris Middleton. You can get a...
Do I get a Chris Middleton at this point in his career, though? I know he's a proven guy, but he does seem to have...
You can get a Russ.
I love Russ, man, but that team needs spacing. And Russ is not going to provide you with that.
Yeah, it's not crazy. Sadiq Bey.
I like Sadiq Bey.
You can get a Jordan Poole. You can get a
Jordan Poole.
There's a good amount of players I can't speak that are going to probably be traded at the deadline because they're not being utilized correctly. But yeah, no, I like the Raptors. I think they probably should because I don't see this core. I think they have a couple good young players like Colin Murray Boyles, Jacoby Walter, Scotty Barnes is young. RJ's like kind of young, but like I just don't see them growing and being like if they don't make moves, they're not just going to all of a sudden be a 1 or 2 seed.
No, and maybe if this was a couple of years ago, I would say wait for Scotty Barnes to develop more. But Scotty Barnes has kind of developed into the player he's going to be, which is a really good player. He just has never become a 25-point per game guy, and that's totally okay. There are so many great players in the NBA that don't average 25 points a game. It's an unfortunate thing that we make our standard of how good a player is, how many points they average. But you do still need to score in the NBA to win games. So I was actually looking at a team, and obviously you can't just give up RJ Barrett for this guy, but maybe the Jazz are looking at Keontae George and they say, hey, you're our scorer of the future. You're our guy. Hey, we got this young team. We got, Ace Bailey, who we want to get more burn. We still maybe believe in him. We're going to have, no, they don't have their draft pick this year, right?
The Jazz?
Do they? I feel like for some
They
reason.
have it. So the Thunder technically own it, but it's 1 through 8 protected.
So if they're the top 8 team, which it looks like they're going to be, they're going to have their draft pick. So they're going to get a good guy in the draft. Lauri Markkanen might be on the table. And you know what? I like MPJ a lot, but fit-wise, I like Lauri Markkanen more on the Raptors. I think you can put him at the 4 pretty easily, or even run a lineup where you have him at the 5 and run this like sort of mid-sized spacing lineup, because Scotty Barnes is a good enough rebounder to get away with even running Scotty Barnes at the 5 in a defensive role, and then Lauri Markkanen at the 5 in an offensive role. And he adds a level of spacing and shot creation that MPJ also adds, maybe a little bit worse, but it's a guy that fits a little bit better onto your team as constructed. I really
It's not
like
crazy.
that
It's just they wouldn't really have the guy, like Ingram's really good, Scotty Barnes really good, Lauri Markkanen really good. Is that kind of the core? Because you'd be giving up a lot. I feel like Lauri Markkanen.
To me right now, Lauri Markkanen is just as much of the guy as MPJ. And I do really like MPJ, but when we've seen MPJ around other good players, he has not been the guy. When we see Lauri Markkanen around other good players as he's been this year, at least scoring-wise, people that take the ball out of his hands, he's still been pretty good. So I think that there's only one guy on the market right now, and that's Giannis. So if you're not getting Giannis, which it's very likely 29 teams aren't going to get Giannis. Very likely that 29 teams aren't going to get Giannis. I don't know what I say sometimes.
28 teams, really. I mean, the Bucks can't.
That's
get
true.
Giannis.
Yeah, the Giannis can't get fucked. Dude, I'm gonna. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I think. Do you just not? My opinion, why the Raptors are my biggest seller at buyer. Why the Raptors are my biggest buyer at the trade deadline is because I think even if they can't get Giannis, they should still look to improve their team and become championship contenders this year.
Okay. I mean, I could definitely see that. I also kind of stayed away from the Western Conference for biggest buyers. I think there's some teams in the West who can buy and make themselves more of contenders, but let's be real. The Nuggets and OKC, they're looking unstoppable, both of them. So I don't know how much you want to fully go in right now. So I went with another East team, the Philadelphia 76ers. Because of this little conspiracy that, yes, Joel Embiid has been the one taking the drugs, and he's been looked amazing. Tyrese Maxey's looked amazing. Paul George, hopefully after this 25-game suspension, can go back to a little bit of his former self. Now, that is asking for a lot. But you know what? This season, he has not been too bad at all. They have Edgecombe. They just have a bunch of guys, and I really think that if Joel Embiid could just take the leap of being amazing in the playoffs, like he hasn't been proven to, but hopefully he can. If you're holding on to Joel Embiid still, then you're hoping he can. I think they should buy in and really try and win the championship this year.
Yeah, I like that a lot too.
So,
and then,
I made a list of some of the players I think that they should target because I don't think they should make a big move, personally. Paul George is unmovable. You cannot move that Paul George.
Oh, especially at this point.
Yeah. You don't want to give up, because even though I want them to go all in, you're not trading Edgecombe. You're not trading Maxey. Like, these are your young guys, and they're going to be here for a while.
Unless you literally get Giannis.
Which, there actually was a source saying they wouldn't trade Edgecombe for Giannis, I think. Which I think is pretty stupid, because you can get Giannis, Joel Embiid, and Maxey.
These teams value their young players too much, I think.
I know, Edgecombe's cool, but there's no promise
Like
of
even,
some sort of all-star.
I want to go back to something you even said briefly about you don't want the Hawks to trade that pick for Giannis because you want Darren Peterson. You could have Giannis. You could have a top 25 guy in NBA history, and you don't want that guy. You want Darren Peterson instead. To me, that's silly. I think you have a proven guy right there on the table, ready to compete for your team right now, and you would rather take a chance on a rookie that you don't know anything about.
Giannis has like 3 years left, and this core sucks. Okay, we're the 10 seed. We're under the Chicago Bulls. I'm sorry. Giannis is like coming to this team and making us a championship. Or making us he'll make us a contender for sure. But think about it. Then now Giannis has to fight the hole that the Hawks are already in. We might be a play-in team with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis doesn't even want that. How happy will he be in Atlanta? I don't know. Anyways, that's a little off topic. But yes, I do believe that they won't trade any of their starting lineup. So, 4 of their 5 starting lineup guys in Paul George, Edgecombe, Maxey, and Embiid. I feel like that's pretty solidified. So I made a list of players that I think would fit pretty well. I do think it's their defense that is a big problem. So I do have them getting some defensive guys. One guy Ayo Dosunmu. I don't know if you have the Bulls as seller. I forget if I do. I don't remember.
I have them as one of my top sellers.
But Ayo Dosunmu is shooting 44% from 3 this season. You actually pointed that out to me.
Insane.
So he's been amazing. Malik Monk, Najee Marshall. They could honestly. I was looking at their bench and like, yeah, they have Drummond and they have a couple guys who are like decent backup bigs, but I feel like they could use like a really good backup big. So it's a little risky. But if Robert Williams III is on the table, then I would trade for him. Herb Jones, Tari Eason, Keon Ellis, Justin Champagny, DeAnthony Melton, Torian Prince, just a bunch of guys who can make threes and can play defense, and that's their role because they have a bunch of star guys. Edgecombe can have the ball in his hands. Paul George, ball in his hands. Embiid, ball in his hands. Maxey, ball in his hands. So it's a bunch of guys who don't need that. I even put Patrick Williams. Look, man, 40% from 3, just sit in that corner. I don't know. Sit in that corner and look pretty. Jose Alvarado.
Patrick Williams, the hate. Like, yeah.
I mean, I'm going to hate on Patrick Williams because he's bad, but like, you never. Maybe he just needs a change of scenery. It's the Chicago Bulls.
It's just interesting to me because I saw someone say something. I don't want to get too distracted, but they said he didn't ask to be a lottery pick, and that's true.
He said that?
No, he didn't say that.
Oh.
No, dude, if he said that, that would be crazy. No, he didn't say that. Someone else said that about him, and it did make me think like, yeah, this guy didn't ask to be drafted that high. The Bulls reached on him. He didn't end up being as good as he was supposed to be. That's not on him. You can't hate on a player for being the player that they are too much. The team drafted him where they drafted him.
I mean, he kind of literally showed this at Florida State. He was a 10-point per game guy at Florida State.
And they still decided to take a chance on him. Sometimes chances don't pay off.
Yeah. And then a couple other guys, Kyle Anderson, KCP, Vince Williams, and then I had Andrew Wiggins even being potentially. Wiggins is probably like the higher end guy of like for some reason the Heat decided to sell, which I actually, they were on my list. I didn't choose them or anything to be my top 2 teams. But Wiggins would be a really good fit next to, I think, Paul George. And,
he would be. I just don't see the Miami Heat selling. I had the same thought too of like they probably should sell, but
they're for sure selling Khalil Ware.
Yeah, with Spo's perspective on Khalil, but that means they're not really sellers. They're trying to buy into something better for winning now.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Khalil Ware has been one of the best rookies out of last year's class, and they're looking to trade him already. I mean, if you've watched this podcast, you know we're both high on Khalil Ware. I think Khalil Ware has the chance to be one of the better players, especially one of the better big men in the NBA in the next 5 years. He has all the tools necessary to do it. And for whatever reason, the Miami Heat and him, there's no connectivity. They're not getting along, and it is odd to see Spoelstra kind of beef with a player, much in the same way Steve Kerr does with Kuminga, because Eric Spoelstra is a guy who's been such a good coach for such a long time, and you don't see him beef with players very often because that Heat culture is, you have to buy into it to be there, and I frankly, I just don't really even understand what's going on. It's kind of odd, but...
Yeah, so Khalil Ware, by the way, they played the Bulls in back-to-back games. He played 3 minutes the first game, and the Heat lost. And then he played a bunch of minutes the second game, and he played amazing, and the Heat won by like 30. So
it must be a personality thing. That's the only thing I can think of.
So. Well, Spo even said, in that interview, or one of the interviews, that like he thinks Khalil Ware is playing bad on purpose. But I think maybe like a reporter brought that up and he's saying like it's not crazy, but I don't think that's the case.
Which, to be fair, yes, Bam Adebayo is a really good player. He's been an all-star level player the last few years. But if you're Khalil Ware and you're playing as good as you're playing and you look ahead of you and you see Bam Adebayo still playing the way he's playing and getting all these minutes over you, that'd be frustrating. But you can't put your head in the sand and just not play. You still have to play and show the kind of player that you are. And you should, because Khalil Ware, you're an amazing player. Like, I want to see you succeed.
Yeah. And then who's your biggest seller?
My biggest seller is a team that from the beginning of this season I had no faith in, and I said needed to blow up their roster because they are holding on to nothing and they have a nothing team. And that is the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings currently sit at number 15 in the West. They have the worst record in the NBA, and they still have the entire roster, which has pretty much been healthy all year, that they constructed to be a winning roster.
I wouldn't say all year. Sabonis has been out a good amount this season.
You still have Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Russell Westbrook, Malik Monk, Keegan Murray. You still have all the guys that you put together on this team to win. You should not be 15th in the West because Domantas Sabonis is hurt.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
How many games has he played this season?
18.
Okay, so that's not that very many games, right?
But he is their best player.
Yeah, but
he should be. Actually, he's been playing bad this season.
Like, that's what I'm saying. He should be their best player, but he's also been marginally their best player this year, if he has been. Honestly, their best player this year might be Russell Westbrook.
Oh, no, I would not say. I'd say DeRozan's still been good.
DeRozan's been good.
DeRozan's been a good player. He's been their best player.
Let's not hate on Russ. Russ has been good too.
I'm the one saying that they should trade Russ to a contender, but he's not being good. I mean, I think he'll give some leadership and some hope, maybe. I don't know. DeRozan's averaging 19 points per game, 50, 34, 87 splits.
That's fine. Here's my thing. So the Kings, because of the way they've constructed this roster, have a lot of pieces that don't contribute to winning on that roster, but they are good pieces. Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis, Russell Westbrook, Malik Monk, a lot of guys who are older, who don't fit the timeline of any younger guys on that team that they might want to hold on to. And you could even make the argument that them selling at the deadline might hurt their tanking chances, but I still think they should do it. I think it is time for the Kings to buy in to a full rebuild, and what a better time to do it than right now when you have 3-4 guys sitting in the next year's draft that could be the number one pick in a number of the previous drafts that we've had. This is the time to do it. You need to sell all these players, get every asset you can, get ready to build for the future around a Darren Peterson, an AJ DeBonsta, a Cam Bruiser, any of those guys, right?
Yeah.
So
any of them, Caleb Wilson, like even like
Caleb Wilson, Koa Pete, and like any of these guys that have been good this year.
Yeah, I definitely agreed. They were my number one team, so I'll move on to my number two, who should have been the number one, but the Kings are actually that bad. The obvious pick is the Milwaukee Bucks. They should be selling everything. It just kind of sucks that they don't get the best of their pick, potentially, or not potentially, but probably. But yeah, Giannis is gone. Yeah, I had a list. Let me pull it back up. But they have a lot of players that they can sell on, but it's not good players. I mean, there's a reason that Giannis is asking out. It's because they don't have good players. So they have Bobby Portis. They have Bobby Portis. They have Kyle Kuzma. They have Gary Trent Jr. They have Taurean Prince. But then they do have the most interesting one besides Giannis. They have Miles Turner. There's been sources coming out recently that have been saying that a lot of teams are going in depth of the film of Miles Turner to see if they want to trade for him because peak Miles Turner had the trade value. It's just the Pacers never wanted to trade him. He was on the trade block for like 5 years in a row for being... Actually, no, I'm sorry. He wasn't on the trade block, but he was in trade rumors for 5 years because every team wanted him. It's just, it would have taken so much. I think now it's kind of a buy low on Miles Turner where you'd still have to give up a good amount because he's such a prototypical good big who just made the finals last year.
No, trust me, if the Warriors don't get Giannis, I'd still want them to go pursue Miles Turner. I think he's a good fit. He provides a lot. He's been playing good as of late.
But I feel like there has to be one team who gets tricked by Bobby Portis. There has to be one team who wants a Kyle Kuzma. I actually think, this might sound crazy, but I really don't think it's crazy. I think Kyle Kuzma should be on the OKC Thunder at the deadline. I think he's a better basketball player than Dort, and I feel like they'd get that secondary shot creation outside of stupid J-Dub.
That's actually but that's so gross. I mean, it doesn't fit the identity of their. It doesn't fit their identity of their team at all.
Kuzma can buy in. He was on that championship Lakers team. I think Kuzma can buy in. I think that under Doc Rivers, I was stupid for even thinking there was a chance Kyle Kuzma could buy in.
Yeah,
but they have a good coach. They have a guy who's going to help him. And I don't know. Like, I feel like if you're not a literal cone, I feel like anyone could go on the Thunder, and all of a sudden they're going to learn good defensive habits and things like that. And you're going to be better than Dort. Mm-hmm. I hate J-Dub because he's corny, but he's a really good player, and he's obviously their secondary shot creator. So then Kuzma would be the third shot creator on the team.
Yeah.
But my hatred for Dort is one, how dirty he is and how bad he is at basketball. I literally think he's not good.
I don't think he's. I think he's still a good basketball player in the right circumstances. I just think, honestly, what it is, I think the Oklahoma City Thunder might have just outgrown Lou Dort. As odd as that may sound, I think their roster may have outgrown the need for a Lou Dort.
Everyone who's a similar defender is better offensively than him.
Mm-hmm. So I think he can still serve a good role on a different team that needs that defense, but it's just not the Thunder. My only thing about the Bucks is, can you really be sellers when what you're selling has no value? For when you have it, like, it has no value to Kyle Kuzma, Bobby Portis.
Get a couple second rounders for everyone.
Yeah,
that's better than having Bobby Portis on your team, because what you're gonna get for Giannis is a bunch of young guys, hopefully, and maybe some young guys for Miles Turner as well. Mm-hmm. Give them 40 minutes a night on some 2K stuff. Like, just there's no point in playing. No, I don't think Bucks fans don't want to watch Bobby Portis.
Yeah. So
you're helping them out, and then it only takes one team to take him.
Yeah. And speaking of Giannis briefly, Knicks are apparently slowly kind of dropping out of the race for him. Stephen A. Smith apparently changed his position on Giannis going to the Knicks this morning. So that's an interesting development. The Bucks are also making counter offers in the trade talks. So these next few days should be when something happens. I mean, obviously the trade deadline's Thursday, so of course it's going to have to happen in the next few days. But I think we're going to get a really solidified view of like 3 teams that we need to look for Giannis, and by the end of today, hopefully.
Yeah.
You know,
Hopefully he actually gets traded. If he doesn't get traded, I will be so.
I'll be disappointed
because then he's just being wasted, and also I'm a Hawks fan and we have their pick. But like, does Giannis? I don't even want to get into it because Giannis will be traded. There's no shot he isn't.
I think so.
Cool. And then I think we have time for one more topic. So if you had something you want to get into,
let's get into the Suns. Actually, we mentioned that earlier. You wanted to get into the Suns. Let's get into that.
The Suns have been the second as of 2 days ago. So I haven't fact checked this now, but as of 2 days ago, they were the second best team in the NBA since Christmas, which is absolutely insane. Because I was someone who I might have had the Suns as like the 10 seed maybe, just because they had no incentive to tank because they don't own their own draft pick. But I didn't even think they were the 10th best team in the West. I just thought that some teams would give up and tank. This team has been amazing. They are up there. I don't know what seed they are right now, but they're pretty much tied with like 4 different contenders in the West.
They're the 7th seed right now, and they're tied win-loss. I don't know. The Lakers have played 2 less games. They've won 1 less game, lost 1 less game.
But
they're
pretty
tied
much
with the
less
Lakers.
time. Yeah, they're tied with the Lakers. They're up there with the Wolves, with
And the
even
Rockets. Yeah.
And then they're only a couple games behind probably the Lakers. Or no,
The Nuggets.
the Lakers.
They're 3 games behind the Nuggets, 3.5 behind the Spurs, obviously behind the Thunder, who are a good deal in front of other teams for number 1 in the West. They also have a 3-game lead on the Warriors for the 8th seed, so they're definitely in the category of teams above the play-in teams, even if they are the 7th seed.
And they've been playing great because Devin Booker has not played that many games this season. He's played 41. So he's played a lot.
And neither is Jalen Green.
Jalen Green has played like almost none. Every time he gets on the court, he gets hurt. I think recently he just started playing the last week. But before that, I think before the last week, he's played like 2 games all season. And this is a season where I really thought that if the Suns were going to take this leap somehow, it was going to be because Jalen Green just kind of developed and realized that he has to mature his game after that whole Houston Rockets tenure. But that has not been the case. This has been elite level coaching and elite level, just every role player buying in and taking a jump. First player, let's go ahead and talk, because Devin Booker's Devin Booker. He'll always be that. He's having a little bit of a down season shooting wise, but he's still Devin Booker. Dillon Brooks. You were talking about him earlier. I thought it was crazy 2 or 3 weeks ago when people were saying he is an all-star, because I think both Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal had him as an all-star. I'm like, that's insane. But after these last like 2 weeks of him pretty much averaging like 30 points per game, just being that primary bucket with Devin Booker gone, this is better than Memphis Dillon Brooks. Because I mean, people will shit on Dillon Brooks for having a couple bad years in Memphis, but like peak him was like averaging 19 points per game and was like the primary scorer besides Ja, or like I think it was before Ja. And he has been maybe not the most efficient. He's shooting 44.6% from the field, 36% from 3. But I saw someone tweet this. Every Dillon Brooks jumper looks hard. So respect to Dillon Brooks, because we have so many hoopers out there that we talk about. Oh, well, Kyrie makes it look easy. KD makes it look easy. No, Dillon Brooks makes every bucket look hard, and that's like the most frustrating thing to watch as an opposing fan, because you think, that's
there's
bullshit.
no way in hell that's going in,
And then it
does.
And he's doing it all season. He's still playing the elite defense. He's still doing all the weird things of like staring at nothing before the game. People are talking about how they don't like how he's joining all these live streams and talking, but we've got some pretty good content from that. Him just talking about the players he hates the most. He also hates Lou Dort.
Whatever, dude. Just because you go and make your, like, and I say this as someone making a podcast, right? Just because you go and make your own podcast doesn't mean that what you have to say is any more legitimate than if you hop on someone else's podcast. Just because you name it the whatever Pandemic P podcast and you go and talk about your stuff and you run the podcast doesn't mean that that's more legitimate. You're still just talking. Prescription P.
Prescription P podcast. But and then Dillon Brooks, he actually, funny enough, was talking about how Paul George should not have a podcast because it is hurting his game, which is pretty funny because he is on the live stream.
Funny.
But yeah, Dillon Brooks has been amazing. But it's not just about Dillon Brooks. Mark Williams has been healthy this season. 45 games played, 41 started, and he's been killing it. He's been just rebounding, just doing the little things that you saw from Charlotte, but just to a higher degree. He's probably putting up career highs. The eye test tells me he's putting up career highs. I don't know what he actually is. But then you got, obviously Grayson Allen, really good shooter. He's not even...
Colin Gillespie.
Colin Gillespie's taken a jump. And he's like a legitimate point guard. Because before, I think he was probably 5-year college basketball guy where everyone just thought, oh, he's an unathletic, 6'2" white guy. He's not going to do much in the NBA, like most of them don't. That are really good in college basketball. But he's really proved them wrong. He's been not only efficient, but he's creating at a pretty high margin. Like I said, besides Dylan Brooks and Booker, there's not any like high level scorers. So he's probably third in points per game. Oh, he's fourth besides Grayson Allen. But yeah, he has filled the gap that Jalen Green has left with, unfortunately, his injuries out of Jalen Green's control. Right. But it is what it is. Royce O'Neal, just good all-around role player. Jordan Goodwin, some nights DNPs, some nights 20 points in a game. Like he is a really good guard on a team that has a lot of good guards, unfortunately. So honestly, if they sold on him, I wouldn't be too surprised. But I don't want them to make any moves. I think this team has a lot of chemistry. I forget the name of their head coach, but he is like a new head coach. Like
Who is their head coach? Jordan Ott.
Yeah, Jordan Ott.
Yeah.
I don't even remember where he was before, but like
let's take a look.
He's been killing it.
Yeah, where was Jordan?
And it's just crazy to me while you're looking at that. It's crazy to me how they got rid of Chris Paul, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton, Bradley Beal, all of these high caliber names, and they're better this season. Or I wouldn't say better, but they're a lot younger, and their salary cap situation's a lot better, and they're the same as with Kevin Durant on your team.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the Suns with Kevin Durant, I forget what happened. I think last year was the year that were they really bad last year, or was that the year before? They were like the 11 seed one year, weren't they?
They were bad last year, I want to say.
I'm getting my years mixed up, but the fact that they get rid of all that talent and just buy in to an actual basketball culture where everyone gets the ball, everyone gets their shots. I mean, you got Ryan Dunn stepping in sometimes. You have Oso Iguodaro stepping in sometimes. You have they still have for Kevin Durant. They got the 10th pick and they got Kaman Malawach. He hasn't even played any games.
No.
So imagine when they have a legitimate backup center. Not saying Oso isn't a legitimate backup center, but a
lottery pick backup center.
But a lottery pick who I think just has a lot of potential to be a rim protector, to be an exact guy like Mark Williams, and maybe even a team likes what he's doing in the G League and in the offseason, they trade him for a dude who will more than likely be a starter or a sixth man or something.
Right. No,
they're scary. 10 games above 500.
They are scary. And I don't, they actually illustrate an example of why I don't get why people don't like the modern NBA, because people have been complaining forever that it was all about super teams. It was all about stars. It was just about players going and joining, each other on these teams and forming super teams. Now we don't have that anymore. Everything is team basketball. Everything is geared towards playing team basketball, and it is the purest form of basketball we've had in the NBA in a long time.
People who say all that don't like basketball. They just, it's guys who like take a little bit from every single professional sport, which there's nothing wrong with. But unfortunately, the very top teams in the NBA sometimes are the hardest watches. Like people don't like watching the Thunder, which I think is crazy because the defense is so good and it is physical and all that, which you think you'd like. But I could see why someone wouldn't want to watch Shea or Luka or these guys who just flail up their arms, Joel Embiid. But if you actually like basketball and don't just watch the playoffs or like the very top teams, the most high caliber games, you're going to see some good basketball from these. I'm not going to say mid. The Suns are not a mid, but like they're in the middle of top contender and truly bad. You look at the middle, and it's actually good basketball being played. And, I hate talking to people in public who say, yeah, everyone in the NBA plays the exact same because they're watching Shea and they're watching, Harden. And they're watching, obviously, all these guys. The two best teams in the West, the Nuggets and the Thunder, completely different basketball. Just completely different. It just, that thing kind of pisses me off. I honestly, from this point on, if someone wants to watch good basketball, I might just point them to the Phoenix Suns. Then again, no. Okay, that's an interesting introduction. I like the Phoenix Suns, but I'm not going to like the idea of Booker being out and then be like, watch them, and it's Dylan Brooks. Never mind.
I'll point him to the Spurs.
Spurs are a fine pick.
I think they're a fine pick. But anyway, Jordan Ott, his coaching tree, pretty interesting. Coached with Brooklyn from 2018 to 2022. then with LA from 2022 to 2024, then was with Cleveland last year, now the head coach at Phoenix, and he was an assistant coach all those years. So pretty prestigious coaching tree as far as being an assistant coach goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the Phoenix Suns. I hope that they can truly compete in a series. And I think they can. I think they can push whatever content. If they have to play the Thunder or the Suns.
They'd be playing the Spurs.
Suns.
They'd be playing the Spurs right now. Because the Spurs have moved up to second in the West again with the Nuggets losing last night. So that would be an interesting series.
Call me
for the
crazy.
Spurs.
I think they would legitimately have a chance to make it out of the first.
I mean, the Spurs are unproven. They're a young team. They've never been in the playoffs before with this core. It's not crazy to say that Phoenix would push them a little bit.
No. Yeah. So I think if they play the Nuggets or Thunder, hopefully push them to 6. And then a team like the Spurs, or if they somehow play like a Lakers team, they could beat either of those teams easily.
Yeah.
This is a team playing great basketball.
Yeah.
And hopefully it continues. Because if they do keep playing as they have been playing, then yeah, they could easily be a 5 seed, a 4 seed this season. And then it's not crazy to say, yeah, they might have home court advantage. And then they make it out of the first round. And then Shea gets hurt. And then they make it out of the second round. And then Jokic gets hurt. And then they make it out of the third round. And then Cade gets hurt. And then they win the NBA Finals. It's not crazy to say that.
Oh, imagine that. The Pistons in the NBA Finals.
The Pistons. Okay, but here
Who could have predicted that?
the Pistons and the Suns. That's like the nastiest thing. Hey, it hasn't happened. No, don't take your victory lap now. I don't think you had the Pistons as a top 2 seed.
Probably not. I think I had them as a 4 seed. So
And I probably had them as like the 5 seed. So I don't want to hear until they win the NBA Finals. I don't want to hear it, or make the NBA Finals. I don't want to hear anything.
I don't say anything.
All right, cool. And then we have a little bit of time left. Do you want to get into the next topic, or we could always just move it on? We are doing. I don't know when it'd be because I do work a lot.
Trade deadline.
But we could do a trade deadline special either Friday or even Thursday night. We can do it.
How much time do we have? Would you say
Like 5 minutes, honestly.
5 minutes?
Yeah, because I'll
Yeah.
keep going.
Let me get this off real quick. So we're a sports podcast. We try to talk about sports. We try to keep it relevant to that. Not going to stray into the world of politics too often because neither of us are truly qualified to talk about it. But every now and then, the real world does come into the world of sports. And this has happened recently with what happened in Minnesota with the 2 individuals that were shot by ICE agents. Now, I'm not here to comment on the social or political implications of that event or what happened. What I do want to talk about is Victor Wembanyama's statements and how they were handled by the NBA media. Victor Wembanyama came out and made statements about the shootings that happened in Minnesota, specifically the one that happened with the 37-year-old journalist. He was a ICU nurse. And he said, PR has tried, but I'm not going to sit here and be politically correct. Every day I wake up and see the news and I'm horrified. I think it's crazy that some people make it sound like the murder of civilians is acceptable. So a pretty definitive statement about what happened and his opinion on it. He would go on to say that he doesn't want to make too many comments on it because he does have certain things that he needs to protect in his life. And every one of us has to decide to what extent we are going to comment on these events and risk our own personal livelihood and well-being. And he was very honest about that. He was also honest about the fact that him being a foreigner determines how much he's going to talk about American political issues. ESPN published only the second half of his statement, which read, I read the news and sometimes I'm asking very deep questions about my own life, but I'm conscious also that saying everything that's on my mind would have a cost that's too great for me right now. So I'd rather not get into too many details. They also omitted the end of his statement, which, as I said, talked a lot about him being a foreigner and the comments he's willing to make, and also said that for today, that's all he's going to say, but he does have stronger opinions that he may share at another time. I don't want to make a political statement about what ESPN's position on this should be, but I do want to say that it is a damn shame that the largest sports network in the country cannot accurately represent the comments of its own players, especially one of its youngest, most prominent stars. At the end of the day, ESPN's job is not to take a political position. They are not here to say that what is going on in Minnesota or what is going on with ICE or that what's going on in the country is good or bad or anything like that. And I do not have that expectation of them. That is not what I'm saying. But ESPN and that network and the individuals that work at that network founded their lives and their work on journalism. And journalism is the accurate representation and reporting of what happens in the real world, something that we have lost a lot of in this country. And this bothers me to a deep level, that Victor Wembanyama is one of the most prominent young stars in the NBA. Like I said, he is someone that the NBA plasters over everything. They want everyone to know that Victor Wembanyama is the face of their league. And yet they are scared to allow him and his words to be represented accurately. And Doris Burke, I'm going to give her 100% credit for this. During this broadcast, explicitly said that is not the extent of what he said, and I am really proud of him for the statements that he made. And I commend her incredibly for that. I don't need ESPN to be political. I don't need politics to be in sports. But I want ESPN and I want these sports networks to be journalists. I want them to represent their stories accurately and not be scared and not be beholden to the dollar, because that is a big problem with where we're at in this country. Regardless of what position you have, we are beholden to a dictatorship, and is the dictatorship of money. Everything is dictated by money. And I think this falls into that category as well. So ESPN, as a 22-year-old on a podcast that, you know, we love that you guys listen to it, but let's be honest, we're not huge yet. Not a lot of people are hearing what we have to say. But I would say to you, whether this gets lost in the noise, please be journalists. Please represent stories accurately and statements accurately and allow people to make their own interpretations of what happens. Don't disseminate and interpret information for people, because that is how we end up with biased perspectives and conversations that go nowhere. We need accurate information. We need people to be provided with accurate information, and just trust that your viewers are intelligent enough to make determinations on that information for themselves.
Yeah. Shout out Doris Burke, because normally I find her so annoying, her voice and whatever she says. But I mean, she did the story justice here. And honestly, I just think sometimes, or in this, well, in most scenarios, no journalism is better than bad journalism. Like, misquoting this, if you're just going to do this and you don't want to show Wemby's comments to uphold, you know, some whoever it is with money, then just don't show the story. There's so many things you can talk about in sports. You don't have to do it. But don't make Wemby look like he said something he didn't. Because you could always find what Wemby said, even if ESPN didn't talk about it. But someone who's watching ESPN and sees this, they're not going to look at the full story. Why would they? The ESPN should be the full story. That's their whole job.
The thing is, and I found clips, you can say, oh, Sports Center at 10 p.m. gave the exact interview that Victor Wembanyama gave and included a statement, even though I went and watched it and they cut out parts of his statement on that too. So that's something to be talked about as well. But this is this comes from a pregame, right? Or this may have even been put up during the game. This is what most people are going to see. And ESPN knows that. They know what their viewership looks like. So they understand that this is the opinion that is getting broadcast to the most people. And that's, I just don't understand. I mean, I do understand. That's the problem. I just don't agree with it. I think we need to be journalists, especially in sports, where we shouldn't be scared to speak our minds and we shouldn't be scared to be individuals. And I think regardless of whether you agree or disagree with Victor Wembanyama's statements, we can all agree that here in the United States, we should be allowed to have our words said exactly as they're said, represented as they're said, and not misconstrued and twisted to fit someone else's agenda.
Amen, brother.
All right. This has been Talk Yours. Hope you all have a wonderful day, wonderful week, wonderful trade deadline. Hopefully anyone listening to this isn't a Bucks fan, and if you are, I am so sorry.
Yeah.
I hope you do all right through this trade deadline.
But yeah, appreciate the love. We will be uploading I don't know when. I'm not going to promise when because of our schedules, but trade deadline special. We'll be reacting to every trade. Mm-hmm. Maybe not every single one. There's some pretty minor bad trades. But yeah, appreciate the
ones
love
that matter, you know,
on the videos, the J-Dub video. Saw a lot of good comments in there. And yeah.
Yeah.
Peace out.